Haya. Thank you. You may be seated. Vijana hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Thank you. Asanteni sana. The leadership of Youth Bridge Kenya, the director of this institution, Kenya School of Government, visitors who have come from other countries, other parts of the continent of Africa, and Kenyans who are here, comrades. I am very delighted to have opportunity to be here this afternoon. I'm accompanied here with a friend who is also a staunch member of Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition, Mr. Francis Mwangi. There. We call it Mwangi wa Azimio. Yeah. Yes. Now, I'm very grateful to have opportunity to come and meet with the young people. When I see the youth, I see the future. The youth represent the future. And that's why a country cannot grow without growing the youth. As you have been told, I say that the difference between the old and the youth is that the old have at one time been the youth, but the youth have never been old. So they don't know what it means to be old, but the old know what it means to be the youth. So today, you are a young, you used to be called young tax, today you are old tax. Tomorrow you are also going to be old. So what is important is what you do with your youth when it's still there. But you cannot actually transform your youth unless the society gives you opportunity to do so. I'm happy that my old friend, the General, Oga, Papa, was here yesterday. I am actually a graduate of African Leadership Forum, which is the institution that he started to mentor the African youth. So we are mentored properly. He took us to his institution and he spent initially 1 week interacting with then retired presidents, the late Kenneth Kaunda, General Tumani Toure, who had been the president of Mali twice, and late President Buyoya of Burundi. And they mentored us how the challenges that you face if you are in a position of leadership. You should have asked the general when he was here yesterday, who is the God? You have told him God is a Nigerian. God is a Nigerian. And did you know why? You ask them, Nigeria had a very nasty experience in independence. But one time, one of the worst periods in Nigerian history was when somebody called General Abacha took power in Nigeria. This Abacha was a very bloody person. He killed so many people that was actually nicknamed the Butcher of Abuja. The Butcher of Abuja. Then they say that one evening, Nigerians went to sleep hoping that tomorrow that they would wake up again to one of those bloody days. But they had prayed. But in the morning when they woke up, they found that God had actually gone to Aso Rock. Aso Rock is the state house in Ghana. And he invited Mr. Abacha to go and be his guest permanently in heaven. So they say God is a Nigerian. It had the prayers of the Nigerian people. Okay? I'm also accompanied here by my daughter, Winnie, who is, I don't know where she is.
She stepped out.
She stepped out. Somewhere, I'm told that she is a millennium. Millennial, she's not a Gen Z. But let me begin now by expressing my deep appreciation of the Pan-African Youth Convention and our hosts, Youth Bridge Kenya, for the invitation to this great event. I find meetings like this very inspiring, as they provide perfect opportunities to meet with young people and to hear directly from them. I see this as an opportunity to get new ideas. More importantly, meetings like this indicate the extent to which young people are rising up to carve their space and summon us to their event, so that we can share ideas and the possibilities of Africa's tomorrow. It used to be the other way around. In Africa's fast-fading old days, it was us, not the youth, the parents, to summon the children. But roles are reversing, and we have no option but to comply. There could not be a better time for Africa, and Kenya in particular, to be talking about the youth and their views and the role in our society. Let me state from the outset that I have always been, and I remain, a firm believer in the potential and power of the young people to shape the future of Africa. I know firsthand that many of the great developments that have been achieved in Africa, including here in Kenya, were pushed and forced by the young people. Without fear of doubt or doubts, I can state categorically that I am honored to have been a key player in the youth movements that transformed Kenya into a democracy and open society of sorts in my years of youth. By age, Africa is an extremely young continent. Today, around 60% of Africa's 1.5 billion people is younger than 25 years. More than a third of Africa's total population is between 15 and 34 years old. It is therefore obvious that the solution to some of the greatest challenges facing our continent lies with the youth. The youth live with those challenges, and they are expected to resolve those challenges as we move forward. So I've said that the youth is a potential. If you empower them, if you don't empower them, they become delinquents, drug addicts, thieves, and criminals. But if you empower them with the knowledge, access to knowledge, and access to opportunities, then they become a very powerful force for wealth creation in a society. But the youth will not be able to provide solutions to our problems unless they are empowered. As a leader, I remain deeply committed to seeing a continent that provides opportunities for our young people. I'm committed to ensuring that the youth are change agents today as they make their way to being leaders of the continent. To this end, I believe we have the responsibility of ensuring that our boys and girls get equal access to education, that we give them skills to strengthen their leadership in every aspect of society, including business, academia, civil society, and politics. I believe that Africa has the responsibility of providing our young entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs with the capital and networks to grow businesses and pursue innovations. In other words, we have a responsibility to help the youth help themselves and our continent. We are currently in the era of pursuing Africa's renaissance. The term renaissance itself evokes a rebirth, a renewal of spirit, and a resurgence of greatness. This is precisely what Africa needs in the 21st century. No segment of any population represents the rebirth and renewal of spirit better than the youth. In their hands lies the power to transform challenges into opportunities, to harness innovation for sustainable development, and to drive social change that benefits all Africans. The African Renaissance we envisage is not merely an economic or political ambition. It must also be a cultural and intellectual awakening. It calls for a reclamation of our heritage, a celebration of our diversity, and a commitment to unity amidst our differences. As leaders and stakeholders, we have a responsibility and duty to listen to the voices of our youth, empower their aspirations, and provide them with the platform they need to contribute meaningfully to our shared future. Their energy, idealism, and determination are the driving forces behind the resurgence of Africa on the global stage. We have a duty to harness this potential, nurture their talent, and jointly embark on a journey towards an African Renaissance that leaves no one behind. But our young people must not just rely on their adults to help them deliver Africa's future for their dreams. Our young people must learn to work together, learn from one another, avoid the divisions of the past, and be the change they wish to see on the continent. As young people, there's a very solid foundation and tradition to build on. The foundation and tradition are the joint efforts and sacrifices of older generations of Africa's founders who led our continent to independence, which did not come easy. We got where we are today by working together and imagining a future. They may have fell short of their own aspirations, but they did lay a firm foundation on which you can build new plans for a perfect continent. You have come of age in an era of breathtaking change. You have come of age in the age of technology and an interconnected world. Today, the world has become a global village. When I was living in Europe, a letter, it's called surface mail, would take 3 weeks to arrive. Then came the email, the airmail. It would take 1 week to arrive. Then came the express airmail, 3 days. And you are very surprised, you are very happy that it has only 3 days. Then came the telex, and then came the fax machine, and then came the mobile phone, the analog, and then now here, today we are. The world has become truly a global village, just within a very short period of time, in my lifetime. So these are fundamental changes that have taken place. I encourage you to resist attempts to isolate the continent in a globalizing world. I encourage you to ignore the notion that the world is controlled by forces that you can't overcome and control. I encourage you to immerse yourself into this world with a view to taking complete control of it for the sake of Africa. You must take a longer and more optimistic view of the world, guided by our resilience as African people. Africa is the richest continent on the surface of the earth in terms of resources. Yet it is a paradox that the richest continent is also the poorest in terms of the living conditions of its people. But this is a situation that we can change. It is possible to change this situation. I have had an opportunity to work for the continent as the African Union High Representative on Infrastructure Development. It gave me a first-hand opportunity to understand our continent, its peoples, and its challenges. There we were dealing with major infrastructural projects which have been conceived by the African Union. The highways, trans-African highways, Cape Town to Cairo. That project was coined by a white South African, Sir Cecil Rhodes, over 100 years ago, to build a highway from the Cape Town to Cairo. Up to today, that highway has not been built. There are still missing links to it. Another one is from Tripoli to the Cape, which is also there. There are several missing links which has not been completed. Another one is from Dakar in Senegal through the Sahel to Djibouti. Another one is Dakar to Lagos, Lagos to Mombasa, which has also not been constructed. Then you have got Trans-African high-speed railway network. One from Beira in Mozambique all the way to Walvis Bay in Namibia. The other one is from Lagos along the coast to Cotonou in Benin, to Lomé in Togo, Accra in Ghana, to Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, all along to Guinea, to Mauritania, to Morocco, to Algeria, to Libya, Tunisia, up to Cairo. And then another one, which we had coined from here, LAPSET, Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor. But then as AU, we modified. To go Lamu, one branch will go to Ethiopia, the other one to Juba, and then to Bangui in Central African Republic, then to Cameroon port of Kribi, to create a land bridge that links the Atlantic Ocean to Indian Ocean, and then opening up the interior, the landlocked countries in Africa for trade. The labor goods coming from the east, from Japan, from China, from India, from the Middle East, to come to Lamu, and then by train transported across to those countries like South Sudan, North Sudan, Chad, Niger, Congo-Brazzaville, up to Nigeria. Because the African Union had come up with African Free Trade Area agreement. But how does Africa trade with itself without a proper infrastructure? Here you're in Kenya. Between Kenya and a country called Central African Republic, there's only South Sudan. But how do you get your goods to Central African Republic? How do you get your tea from Kenya to Central African Republic where they don't grow tea? You have to find a ship that will go down Cape Coast and go up along the coast, Namibia, Angola, up to Cameroon, and then pick it from Douala by road to Bangui in Central African Republic. The French and the British are much faster there than you. That's why in Bangui, in Central African Republic, they drink Kenyan tea, Christian as English breakfast tea. But if you do the proper infrastructure, you can reach there. Only South Sudan is between you and Central African Republic. There are several others who are dealing with high speed fiber optic network that will link several African capitals so that communication is easier. We're dealing with open skies, how to make the air transport easier across the continent of Africa. At the moment, air transport is so expensive in our continent. Why? Because they don't have a proper air control system. Each country has got its own individual air traffic control system. So if you want to fly from here, you have to pay overflight fees to several countries you're going to go across. From here to Lagos, so many countries. The other day I was going for a funeral of a president of Namibia, and we chartered an aircraft to drive Nairobi to Windhoek, Namibia. You have to get clearance from Tanzania, from DRC, from Zambia, from Botswana, and Namibia. We were spending 3 hours on the ground at Wilson Airport because we did not have clearance to fly over Tanzania. At that time, I was stranded in Dar es Salaam trying to get to Niamey in Niger. Yeah, because you have to get a clearance over Uganda, DRC, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, Niger. You don't need those kind of things in Europe. Because they have got one standardized air control system that gives you clearance and you can fly over all those countries in Europe. And it is cheaper. These are some of the things which can be changed, and we are dealing with this. Then we are dealing with energy. Energy is so expensive on the continent of Africa. You go to a place like the Gambia, it costs you 38 US cents per unit. In some other places in Europe, it is 2 cents. How can you compete with those who are producing energy at 2 cents, yet you here are buying it at 38 cents? Yet Africa has got abundance of energy source, particularly what you can call green energy. The solar, the wind, the waves, the geothermal, the hydro, all available in abundance on our continent. How do we make use of it to reduce the cost of energy so that it's accessible to most of our people who live in rural areas and be able to create industries in rural areas? Those are the challenge, some of the challenges that we're dealing with. We're dealing with other issues of trade. to remove non-tariff barriers that are there, be put artificially by states that make it more difficult to trade across the continent. These are some of the challenges that we have on our continent. But Africa has a future because we have a youth, and we need to reap the youth dividends. Today, African youth are dying on the ships, trying to reach greener pastures in Europe. The people are escaping poverty from Africa. We must reverse this trend by creating more opportunities on the continent, so that our people do not have to flee from their own homes looking for opportunities which are not available here. Make those opportunities available on the continent of Africa. On the issue of climate change, Africa is a victim. Africa is a victim of actions which have been taken elsewhere. The emitters of carbon monoxide that is creating global warming are elsewhere. Africa is a victim. But Africa, first, we cannot just stand here and say we are a victim and we are doing nothing. We need to do something ourselves. But secondly, we must now also negotiate much more firmly with these offenders so we get proper compensation for actions which have been taken outside our continent. You can see today Africa is suffering from floods and droughts, alternating. Floods this year, recently floods in Kenya, drought in southern Africa. When it becomes flood there, it's drought here in Kenya. Africa is suffering. And there's also desertification, which is coming. The Sahara is spreading south. How do you stem this tide? We need to stem this tide. And these are the reasons why I've offered myself to go and become the chair of African Union. That we can, I think that I can be like a catalyst to create a new thinking within the African Union so that we can be able to exploit the potential that we have really in this continent and really realize the dreams of the founding fathers of our continent. Dreams of Osagie Kwame Nkrumah, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Ahmed Sékou Touré, Modibo Keïta, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Nelson Mandela, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Ahmed Ben Bella. I can mention them. These were people who had foresight, who wanted Africa to be united. Kwame Nkrumah said, Africa continental government now, today. 61 years later, we are still where they started. We have nationalities around, but we need to create that African personality, that are real African. Africa has been exploited over the years. Relics of exploitation are there. But we should not sit and continue to be just lamenting. But we cannot also forget the injustices which have been made against our people in the past. And therefore, the day of reparation, the subject of reparation cannot be wished away. It must remain a subject on the table as we move forward. But let us also create our own wealth in this continent. So I conclude by telling you the story of the African lion. There are several lions on the continent. If you go to Cameroon, they call it in the indomitable lions. You go to Senegal, they call them the lions of Teranga. You go to Morocco, they call them Atlas lions. And you come to Kenya here, the Simba, ya Kenya. So this is the African lion. The African lion is sending a message to the Asian tiger. And the message is clear. That you, Asian tiger, you have danced on the stage for far too long alone, unchallenged. The European bear retreated many years into the ice of the North Pole. The American panther is also on the retreat. So you've been there alone. I, as African lion, have been asleep in the jungles of the Congo, bounded by the peaks, Mount Kilimanjaro to the east, and Atlas Mountains to the west, bounded by the mighty rivers of the Gambia, of the Niger, of the Limpopo, the Nile, and the mighty Congo. And I'm here in the African forests. Here I'm sitting on African gold, African bauxite, African iron ore, African diamonds, African uranium and lithium, all this wealth around me. I'm going to use my brain to transform all this wealth around me into opportunity for my people. And to claim the 21st century as truly African century. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, you always amaze me with, not with the written speech, you always amaze me with your off-the-cuff speech. And I've watched you carefully. Sometimes I used to think that you have it on a note somewhere, but every time, even when we're in the field somewhere, you still manage to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, for people our age, that's a great feat. You can bear with me. Your Excellency, I will request that just for the next few minutes you indulge us. I think, do we have anybody who would like to ask a question? Okay, students. All right. So I'll come round. I will only allow 3 people. And because I'm gender sensitive, it will be the ladies, 2 ladies and a man. All right? Make it short and relevant and factual. What are our rules? Short, relevant, and factual. All right? So let's do this. I'll choose 1, 1, 1. All right, you're about to fly out of the seat. Let me come to you. All right? So make it short, relevant, and factual. Tell us your name, where you're from. Yes, please. And maybe I'll listen to your question before you ask so that we don't get ourselves here with... oh, you have notes? All right. So what is it about? I'm serious. Good. This is short, relevant, and factual. Please.
Thank you so much. Baba, Honorable RAILA Odinga, and all distinguished leaders present. How are you? My name is Sofina Merino, a consultant on youth and leadership in Africa. Now, one thing for sure, we cannot downplay the significant role mentorship plays in leadership development. And with the strides that we have started to make on accountability and championing for social justice, what can you advise from your experience to passionate individuals on the continent to ensure that we achieve success in achieving democracy, social justice, and have control of our continent? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I also want to give a chance to those who are visiting with us from out of this country. Wakenya wanajua mnapambana sana. Anguka nayo. Where are you from? All right, please.
Thank you so much. Honorable, they call me chairperson of Africa Union. My name is Eva Gerard from Tanzania. I'm a chairperson, also founder and CEO of Tanzania Women and Youth Advisory Organization. My question is, as a coming Africa Union chairman, what a plan do you have to the young people of Africa continent? Thank you.
All right, and here we say two ladies, so I need a man, a gentleman. Are you gentle? All right. Okay. Short, relevant, and senior. All right.
Hello, everyone. Prime Minister, my question is very simple. We've had countless number of youth. Okay, my name is George Ngaira. I'm a businessman and also youthful and gentle, as you say. Honorable Prime Minister, my question is very simple and clear. We've had dozens of these youth organizations and conferences talking about youths, and we've always had policies that have been passed. As the incoming leader of a continental organization like the African Union, what mechanisms are you going to put in place to see to it that the implementation of all this program is done within a timed structure?
Thank you very much. As His Excellency prepares to take the questions and give us answers, I'll shortly be calling a few people to receive some awards. As I call you, you'll just come to the front, you'll receive your award, we'll take a picture, and you'll go back to the seat. Immediately after, the DG KSG has organized for us a cocktail right outside there. We shall have it, and then all of us shall go down to have our meal tonight. Baba, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Thank you. Sophie, democracy, social justice, and accountability. What you call good governance in the continent of Africa. As you know, there are challenges. Africa is not uniform. There are countries which are much advanced at different stages. There are those which are still emerging. The others which are still under dictatorships and even military rules, as you know. So it is not a uniform thing, but you know that AU had passed a resolution to silence the guns by 2020. That was basically just a wishful thinking. Because as you know, guns are still very much allowed. You go to the Sudan, you go to Somalia, you go to many places, guns are still very much there. What we want to do is first to ensure that these conflicts which are within the continent are resolved. There is a fund called the African Peace Fund, but not much has been put into that fund. When I go there, I want to ensure that that peace fund is increased. and that we have also a standing force that will help to enforce peace within the continent. Secondly, of course, we have a standard of good governance. And this standard, just like the European Union, first does what they call due diligence for a country to qualify to become a member of the European Union. This is something that needs to be done, even within Africa, so that we have a common standard that all these countries are aspiring to achieve, so that there is what you call freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and also there's social justice within these countries, and to deal with issues of accountability. Because without this being there can be no development. You can have all the good plans, but if you don't have a proper institutions and proper structures within the country, there will be a problem. There is what you would call, there is a reform committee which has been set up. This and here, I think I'm going to deal with let me deal with the second question of Eva. The EU plan to raise the youth. I've already talked generally about the potential of the youth in the continent. And I've said that we need to empower the youth by first imparting knowledge and technology on the youth, so that the youth are properly empowered to be able to realize their potential. Now, there are different governments have got different programs, so they want to agree on a template that's continental wide, and we will be doing peer review of these African countries to ensure that they conform to the minimum standards that have been set by the African Union. Finally, George, on the implementation of policies. First, you need to know that currently there is a disconnect between the Secretariat and the Union, because a lot of resolutions which are passed by the summit of heads of states are not implemented. I was talking to the current chairman, who is actually complaining that majority of resolutions passed by the heads of state never see the light of the day. They're never implemented. I want to, right now there is a committee on reform of the AU. This committee has been chaired by President Kagame of Rwanda. But now this chair has actually passed on to Kenya, the Kenyan president. I believe that this committee will come up with the proper reforms that will ensure that African Union structure is brought almost in conformity with that of the European Union. And that will make it much easier to ensure that resolutions that are passed by various organs of AU actually are implemented fully. This is what I intend to do. And that will make AU a much more efficient and effective institution. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We are grateful. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, my name is Ambassador Thomas Kwaka Omolo, also known as Big Ted. I'm the immediate former Consul General for Kenya in Los Angeles. I just got home a few days ago, in case the accent confuses you. In case it confuses you, Anguka na? Anguka now. Although Kenyans move on so fast. We haven't even learned how to go there properly. You guys already have brought something else, you know? And I'm sure this one will go that way. But that's Kenya for you, and that's Africa for you. Bright, brilliant, healthy, live, you know, just bubbling and blowing up on the Sims. Africa, let us tell our story. Remember what Chinua Achebe said, that until the lion learns how to write, all the stories of the hunt will only glorify the hunter. Understand that all the stories you've read, all the books you read in school, were written by the hunter. That is why we must write our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to start today by honoring a few individuals who have been shining lights and who we shall continue leaning on.
This is a Climax 5-Star Awards conferment event that is part of the African Youth Convention. Award winners in each category were selected through a comprehensive and credible process which involved nominations from the public, research-driven verification of nominations, and ultimately considerations by a specially appointed awards jury. So the first category is the Young Exceptional African Awards. So this is a distinguished awards category that will celebrate the achievements of young exceptional individuals across youth leaders at grassroots, community, national and regional levels, and will honor their significant contributions to the continent's development. So the Young Exceptional Awards is a testament to the exemplary standards and achievements within the diverse African landscape. This award targets a wide array of areas ranging from social activists, human rights, as well as human rights promoters and defenders, as well as civil society leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and policymakers, among others. Through these awards, the African continent recognizes efforts by her young generation in steering sustainable development, good governance, and show dedication to Africa's political and socio-economic advancement, as well as the resilience and adaptability in the face of global challenges. The next award will be on the Young Outstanding African Awards. So this award will recognize and celebrate African young leaders who, under challenging circumstances, have made use of the public offices they occupy to cause transformation and usher in shared prosperity and sustainable development. The focus of this award is to highlight outstanding contributions to public service and develop a network of peer role models across the continent for the youth of Africa. The award also aims at encouraging and promoting professionalism, diligence, integrity, and selflessness in political and socio-economic activities around the continent, with a view to supporting wider efforts to make Africa a better place for this generation and the ones to come. And the third category is the Iconic Youth Champion Awards. So the Iconic Youth Champion Awards recognizes and honors the efforts of eminent personalities in and across the continent who have played a leading role in championing and advancing the meaningful participation and inclusion of the youth in leadership, governance, and sustainable development. This award will honor outstanding individuals who have made remarkable contributions through exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to the advancement of Africa. So through their exceptional service, they are an inspiration to the young generation across the continent. This award will ensure that the African continent continues to benefit from the experience and wisdom of exceptional and visionary leaders in Africa. Over to you, Ted.
Thank you very much. And with that, let me please request our guest of honor, Your Excellency, to please come to the front of the podium, accompanied by the DG and the team at the front, for us to present the nominees. This is Your Excellency, I please request that you please join us at the front of the podium. Now, do you guys promise to clap for the winners? All right, if you clap, we shall make it 10 minutes. If you don't clap, we'll make it 1 hour. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the Pan-African Youth Outstanding Awards, our first nominee winner is Honorable Wesley Korir. Honorable Wesley Korir is the founder and president of the Kenya Kids Foundation, a foundation that offers full scholarships for students athletes from 1 to 4. And he's also highly committed to nurturing young talent while also positioning education through the Transcend Talent Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Honorable Wesley Korir. He's also a great athlete, having won the LA Marathon, Chicago Marathon, Boston Marathon, and is a member of parliament for Cherangani constituency in Kenya. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Makofi, tafadhali. You can take a photo. Our next winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Sake Kojo.
Mr. Sake Kojo is an educationist, a human rights advocate, a mass communication expert, a motivational speaker, and a leader skills acquisition practitioner. He is a co-founder of United Nations Youth Association of Ghana. He was also a delegate for the 40th Plenary Assembly of the World Federation of the United Nations Association, Rio de Janeiro, held in Brazil, which came out with proposal for post-sustainable development goals, Agenda 2030, and United Nations adoption subsequently. Please, let's put our hands together. Where is Mr. Sake Rajo? Woo! Let's take a photo op. Congratulations. Woo!
Our next winner nominee, Your Excellency, is Mr. Peter Quest. Peter Quest is the head of youth programs. He's the head of youth program at the Kenya School of Government. He has over 10 years experience on youth development and community service. He's a champion for the youths across the country in semi and arid areas. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Quest.
Let's put our hands together for him.
Job Simon Kijo. I can bear witness, I've worked with him on a couple of programs in the country, Mr. Peter Quest.
Thank you. So the next category is the Pan-African Youth Exceptional Awards. So Mr. Job Simon Kija, please make your way to the front. Please let's give him a round of applause. Job Simon Kija is Executive Director at Innovations for Democratic Engagement and Action IDEA. He's at the forefront of championing for democracy, human rights, good governance, and sustainable development. He successfully led citizen mobilization efforts on anti-corruption and accountability, such as the Black Monday movement against corruption in Uganda, the Citizens Manifesto process, among others. He further led robust research processes on governance that have translated into governance and policy reports. He's also an International Visitor Leadership Program fellow by the USA State Department. So let's put our hands together for him. Congratulations.
Our next nominee winner, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, is Mr. Garang Malong Awan. This is in recognition to his outstanding leadership in championing for restoration of peace, democracy, and sustainable development in the Republic of South Sudan. as the inaugural chair of the consortium of Southern Sudanese professionals working towards restoration of peace. He has exceptionally lived true to the Africa Vision 2063 that seeks to and can get youth to engage in informed, innovative, and value-driven approaches to foster personal community in Africa and beyond. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Garang Malong Awan.
Let's clap for him.
Hold on. Relax.
So, next awardee.
Thank you very much. Some of us will start dancing if you take it too loud. The next awardee, Your Excellency, I have the privilege of just doing a before Michelle does it. Your Excellency, this particular person, I know personally, is dedicated to the cause of Pan-Africanism and of youth in this country. I sit with him a lot of times. We've had lots of talks and meals, and I'm 100% sure that he deserves this award.
Thank you. Our next awardee is Alex Matere. Alex Matere is Executive Director of the Youth Reach Kenya. He is also a political scientist and public policy expert. He has previously served as the Secretary General of the Students' Organization of the University of Nairobi, SONI, chaired the University Students' Lobby, pushing for the adoption of the Kenya Constitution 2010, and later convened the Youth for BBI that championed for meaningful youthful inclusion in the constitutional reforms. Alex has also served in the following task forces geared towards shaping youth policy: the Kenya Youth Development Policy Task Force, the National Skills Development Task Force, and the Kenya National Career Guidance Policy Task Force. Please let's give him a round of applause.
Our next winner, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, was born in Beachville, Nova Scotia, a small black community on the outskirts of Metro Halifax, and is the youngest of 6 siblings. He attended Dalhousie University and received a Bachelor of Arts in African Studies. For several years, he was the regional educator for Black Educators Association of Nova Scotia, and later the Student Services Consultant for the African Canadian Services. Wayne has spent more than 15 years working and living in Nigeria, Ghana, and Sierra Leone, and has traveled to many African countries. He's the lead facilitator for Connecting to Africa Society, a non-profit that seeks to increase awareness, advocacy, and action partnership with African Nova Scotian organization and like-minded people. His inspiration is Dr. Marie Hamilton, his mom, and anyone with a genuine passion to make a positive change in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, please welcome Mr. Wayne Hamilton.
Yes, that's it. So, hold on. Oh, shit. Okay. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, our next awardee is Lisiana Emakor. Please let's put our hands together for Miss Lisiana Emakor. She's the founder and executive director at the Center for Community Impact and Sustainability. She has built a multifaceted career that epitomizes the essence of youth empowerment, gender equality, and environmental sustainability. Her achievements have gained her the following awards: the Global Peace Chain Awards 2023, 4 Directions Diaspora Award, Best Female Advocate 2024, the UNODA Service of Excellency 2022, and the UNESCO Certificate of Appreciation 2022, among others. Please let's put our hands together.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, would like to award Mr. Bright Kwame Fiaga. Bright Kwame Fiaga is an entrepreneur and founding member of the Consumers League of Togo, LCT, an organization promoting, defending, and protecting consumer rights in Togo. Now, Bright assumes several responsibilities within his organization in his capacity as president, and he leads and participates in the life of Togolese civil society nationally and internationally on all subjects of general interest. At African level, he's heavily involved in action and awareness-raising activities within the African Union of Consumer Organizations, both on social networks and in field activities. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Bright Fiaga.
Let's clap for him.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, our next awardee
Is Professor Noura Mohammed. Professor Noura Mohammed is the Director General at the Kenya School of Government, where he is responsible for providing leadership and direction on long-term, medium-term, and day-to-day management of finance, information technology, human resource, and administration functions of the school. He's a public sector leadership and transformation expert with over 23 years of experience in public sector reforms, performance management, finance,